Hi guys, Dr. Mel here. We are busy with chemistry and we're going to look at the quantitative aspects. Now, quantitative will mean quantities and we're going to measure. We're going to measure mass and we're going to measure volume and we're going to measure number of atoms. So, this is a very, very important section of the chemistry syllabus. You cannot do chemistry if you cannot quantify and measure different properties of chemical elements. So it will rely basically on what you've done with the periodic table. Now remember, this is Mendeleev, and this is his way of setting out the periodic table. There's a few other types of periodic tables which I've seen in a few museums where people tried to put the elements into certain sequences. But the one he did many years ago is still the periodic table that we're using. So you will have your periodic table with you in every test and exam. And please utilize this. This is your nicest script note that you can ever find. But you'll have to be actively involved with this. Don't just have a look at this when you write tests or exams. So make yourself a copy, put it next to you on your desk, and when you do homework or your calculations, see that you are working from the standard periodic table. Right, so this is one way, and I just want to inform you again, these going down, the elements going down, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, they are in a specific group, and there's reasons for that which you've done in a previous section. Then there's the rows that we call a period, and if you have a look at your electron configuration, it'll tell you exactly why will lithium be before beryllium, why will be boron before carbon, before nitrogen, before oxygen, fluorine and neon. You need to know where did he come from to actually arrange these elements in this specific order. Now the periodic table that you are going to use will look something like this. Now remember, you need to know the elements abbreviation. You need to know the number. Well, you don't have to know it. You need to know where am I going to apply it. I just want to quickly refer back. The atomic number will tell you the number. It will tell you the number of protons as well as the number of electrons. That's why we have the specific sign there. It's a number that's allocated to each of the elements. At the bottom will be a different number, and up till now you said that's the atomic mass, and you related that to the number of protons plus neutrons. The mass inside the nuclei of an element, of an atom, is exactly that number, and we're going to concentrate on that in this lesson. So if we talk of mass, we know we're going to weigh something. Now this is a very nice digital chemical scale. You can go and measure the mass of many of the apparatus. Can you see that beaker down there? There I've got a piece of paper, and you can throw things in there. We use that in a kitchen as well. If you've got anybody in your house that's very aware of what they're eating, they'll often weigh the food that they eat. So that's why it's important when we do any chemical reaction that we know how many of the one and how many of the another substance are we putting together. Right, where did this come from? There was a guy with the name of Avogadro. Now we're going to have a look at Avogadro in the next section again, but just quickly, he took carbon, and because carbon is very cheap and it's accessible, we find it in South Africa, we find it in India, we find it all over the world. They took carbon and they actually put it on a scale. Now, I'm simplifying this whole experiment that he did, but adding carbon to a scale until they reached 12 grams. As soon as they reached 12 grams, they took a little tweezer, and as I say, I'm simplifying it, and they took them out again. And when they quantified how many atoms that they have in 12-gram carbon, they actually got to a number which I have to write down so that you can actually see what it is. It is 6.02 times 10 to the power of 23. Now, as I said, in the next lesson, we're going to just look at the atoms. But now, for now, the term mole. And you'll see in some textbooks, they spell it like that, and in others like that. It doesn't really matter. As long as you know a mole is what constitutes the molar mass, it's a specific number, and you know it is exactly how many atoms weighed 12 grams of what? Of carbon. Now, you know in the kitchen, water is not the same weight as, for instance, milk. It's not the same weight as sugar. So there's different elements with different masses. Let's have a look. If I took 5 kilograms of sugar, I would put that on the scale, and you would see there 5 kilograms. If I took 5 kilograms of copper, it will again measure 5 kilograms. But you know now sugar is quite different from the metal copper. It's exactly the same. I could have put on here 500 grams of rice, and I could have put 500 grams of oil on the scale. In both cases, it would give me a reading of 500 grams. Now, important, if we then count the number of rice particles or the number of sugar particles, it would definitely differ from, for instance, copper or oil. So what we're saying, each of these elements or compounds will have a different mass for its specific atoms. Now let's have a look at the periodic table. I want you to take your periodic table and have a look at group 1. If we are in group 1, I want you to specifically identify the little element in group 1 with the notification Li. It's element number 3, and the name is lithium. Now, lithium, guys, will have a number there at the bottom. Please see if you can find that number. Now, I've got my periodic table here, and remember, you'll get a specific periodic table, so it might differ from anything that you see in a textbook, but the one you're going to be using in the exams will be the values that you use. On my periodic table, I've got the number 7 written down there. So what it means is that in the periodic table, if we compare carbon, which has got a value of 12, for the same scale, lithium would have a reading of 7. Now we'll get to the quantities just now. Take the next element. It is sodium. So have a look at the number 11, sodium, and at the bottom on my scale, my periodic table, 23. So again, 23 in comparison with carbon 12, and you'll see you will have a reading of 23. And then just below sodium, you'll find potassium. Potassium is element 19, and you'll see at the bottom 39. Again, if I weighed on this scale carbon and I got 12, then the reading will be 39 for potassium. So it's important that we know we are measuring towards the reference, and our reference will be carbon. So you can in actual fact say they set the scale and they measured carbon to 12 and left the scale there when they calibrated the scale and measured everything else. You can go and play. You can have a look at iron. Please have a look if you can find iron, copper, and zinc on your periodic table. It's in the middle. If you have a look at the periodic table, it will be in the middle. It's metals. Have a look if you can find it. Now, if you have a look at iron, you will see it is 56. Copper is 63.5. And zinc is 65. Now, we're going to discuss it just now. I wanted you to have a look at this number at the bottom to see what does it mean for every specific element. Now, let's have a look at the easiest atom. The one right at the start is hydrogen. And hydrogen has that atomic mass of 1.008. This is the one I have in front of me. Again, carbon 12.011. Can you see I'm taking that and I'm saying that's an atomic mass. Now, nitrogen, and you'll see nitrogen is actually 14, but can you see I gave you there the diatom? So it's two of these, which will be 28.014. And then we've got this compound. You know it is sodium chloride. So you will have sodium plus chloride. The sodium will be 23. Chloride is usually 35.5. And you'll get to that exact number. Now, this is a little bit different because I'm using 35. I could use 4. Then I would get to this fraction. Important. This is the atomic mass. So what we have now is we actually related that to an atom. But you know to measure an atom is almost impossible. It's too small. So if we say this is the atomic mass, we will then say the unit will be atomic mass unit or formula unit. That will actually say it is one atom. But it is too small. We cannot work with one atom. And I'll show you now what we'll do to work with when we do chemical reactions. Again, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium. One atom of these would be whatever value you see in the table, and the unit will be atomic mass unit. But you can now see it's impossible to work with just one atom. So let us go and have a look at the value that Avogadro found. I'm going to go back to that specific number. Now, if you have a look at your periodic table, on the flip side, you usually find your constants. And a mole, remember, a mole will be on your periodic table or your information sheet. So let's have a look at a mole. If I now go back to the slide and I say I want a mole of hydrogen, I'm now going to say 1 mole of hydrogen will have a mass of 1.008. And how many atoms is this mole? Well, it's 6.23 times 10 to the 23 power. No, I think it's 6.02. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the 23. Now, let's put this into a number. There's 6.02 times 10 to the power of 23. So what I actually have is 602 with 21 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's the number of atoms in 1 mole. Now, guys, that's quite a lot. So, we have to understand we will rather work with a mole with this number of atoms than working with one specific atom. Right, and you see here, these will all be the mass of 1 mole. So, fluorine, 1 mole of fluorine will have a mass of 18.998 gram. And as I said just now, so it's 18.998 gram for every mole that I have. So, important that you distinguish, am I working with one atom or am I working with a mole of atoms? Right. What is atom, molecule, and ions? Well, if I've got a mole, I've got 6 times 0, 2 times 10 to the 23 atoms. If I've got molecules, a mole, 6.02 times 10 to the 23 molecules. If I've got ions, 6 times 2 times 10 to the 23 ions. And I could say sugar lumps. 1 mole would be exactly that. I could have said nails. 1 mole nail will be exactly that. So it's important that you know the mole is just a number. And as I said, in the next lesson, we're going to have a look at that. And we express it as grams per mole. And it's important that you also know that you've got a molecular or an atomic formula unit. Let's have a look at a question. What is the relative atomic mass of magnesium? Now that's relative. So we know it's measured against carbon. And atomic means 1 atom. And there you'll see mass or distinguishing it as relative, and they're giving me magnesium. And if I have a look on my periodic table, my answer would be 24.305, because that is the relative atomic mass. What is the molar? Now I'm saying what is 1 mole atomic mass? It is again the same number, but now it's grams per mole. 1 mole of magnesium will have a mass of 24.305 grams. Can you see it's a mass, a mole and a gram? Right, let's have a look at the next question. What is the relative molecular mass? Now we've got a molecule, not an atom, of H2O. H2O is water. Now what do we have? Relative again. And that again signifies it's relative to carbon. So you can use your periodic table. You've got H2O. So I've got 2 H's. Can you see I'm multiplying 2 with 1 because I'm using that as 1. And I've got oxygen and I'm converting that 15.999 to 16. So if I've got a molecule with water, an oxygen with a hydrogen and a hydrogen, this being 1, that 1, and that 1, 16, I've got a total of 80. What is the molar molecular mass? It will be 1 mole of water will then be 18 grams per mole. So it's always the same numbers. You just have to be careful that you read your question. And then finally, let's take now a compound. We first had an atom, then we had a molecule, and now a compound. So we've got sodium chloride. Again, I've got sodium and I've got chlorine. The relative, there I've got to remember to put my R in there. That's 23 sodium, 35.5 chlorine. I'm now getting 58.5. The molar, 1 mole, will be exactly the same value, but then you know it's grams per mole. Right, I hope you enjoyed the introduction to quantitative chemistry. You have to be able to define 1 mole, and we'll have a look at that when we do the next lesson again. You have to be able to distinguish relative and molar masses. It can be atomic, it can be molecular, and you know it can be a compound as well. And it can be ions, so be careful. See exactly what they're asking of you. Define molar mass and then do a few calculations. But this whole section will be calculations. And guys, you can't do calculations by watching me doing. You have to have your calculator, your periodic table, your pen and paper, and do every calculation with me. Bye bye.